Turkey Day is upon us, Drew. Again, I hope I waited long enough for that to be heard on Facebook, because I've been thinking about what to say to start the show for hours now. But I'm glad you guys are here. Welcome into Sports Around the Bar. Sports Around the Bar. I'm glad you're here. Honestly, killing the beginning, just like always. But we're glad you're here to talk sports with us. We got a lot of action for a Tuesday coming up on Thursday. Can we restart? It was terrible. Just
for a minute there, I thought you were channeling your best Drew. I really honestly did. I was like, yes.
This is how you feel all the time?
All the time, dude. All the time. Guys, it's great to see you. I'm glad you guys could be here. We did have some great primetime games that we just passed on that we were both 100% right on when we picked the winners of it. And then we got a Thanksgiving Day, which I think there's just like the nostalgia around Thanksgiving football that just makes it so much better than other football. But when you look at some of these matchups, do they really truly excite you this Thanksgiving?
I like the Bills-Cowboys. That's a good one coming up. And, I mean, Bears-Lions should have been the game we were all paying attention to, right? The Bears should have been racing for the top seed in the NFC. Didn't quite get there. Never happened for either one of these teams. So, is that exciting? No. But then again, the Falcons just beat the Saints not too long ago, a couple weeks ago. Maybe we see a repeat of that. Steve says, who won the jersey contest? The truth is, I have been too busy to do it. So what we're going to do, since we're doing two of them, one for October and one for November, we're going to do them both at the end of the month at the same time. Because, again, I am way too busy to be doing all this stuff. So, I hate that you guys had a delay. I know we said we'd give it away after October, and technically it is after October. So bear with us. We're going to do it towards the 30th of this month, maybe the 1st of December. We're going to get it out as quick as we can, and we'll do two of them at once. So you have twice the chances to win.
Sweet. Can I win?
You can. Or you could just buy one of our shirts. See, I wore mine today. I wore mine today. Yeah. And you were like, you don't even own one. And I was like, yeah, I do.
You just made it right before we went on air.
But I haven't. I just put a sticker on. Sean, good to see you, man. We're glad you're here. I know you're looking forward to talking about the Yankees. We will get into that, as well as all of the rest of your guys' questions, because it is a Tuesday. But we do need to talk a little more football than we usually do. Because like you said, Drew, we got 3 great games coming up on Turkey Day this week. Or 3 games, I should say. Maybe they're not all great. Coming up on Turkey Day.
They're great. They're all
They're on and they're not normally.
Yeah, exactly.
James, good to see you.
Shreve, good to see you. That was a butt whooping last night. There's no doubt about it. No doubt.
Absolutely. How far have the Rams fallen, and how good are the Ravens? We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's start by talking about the Packers and 49ers, though, if you're ready.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready.
Are you
ready?
I don't know. Let's talk about, are the Packers a disappointment? Are the Packers a bad team because they let this happen to them? Or was this some frustration from losing to the Seahawks kind of bleeding? I know they had the Cardinals game in between there. Do we get a little bit of frustration from the 49ers here, or do the Packers kind of let you down a little bit here on Sunday night?
I think it's a little bit of a mixture of both. I think the Packers did kind of let their fans down, not playing up to par or better, going against probably the NFC favorite team right now for sure. On the other side, I do think the 49ers losing that game against the Seahawks, and I know they played the Cardinals beforehand, but it was kind of like their next thing was like, hey, this is another great team on the NFC side of the conference, and it's a good opportunity for us to show how good we are.
A couple more great comments. Steve says, Buffalo versus Dallas will be a statement win for Buffalo. If they beat Dallas, how will it change our opinions of the Buffalo Bills? Well, let me say this. A lot of it depends on how they win. If they win this one from the beginning, I don't care if the score stays close. If they stay on top for most of it and shut down an offense like Dallas, much like the New England Patriots did, I'll say, okay, maybe we can reconsider how good this Buffalo team is, number one, and we can reconsider maybe they can get hot and do this in the playoffs, have the right break go their way, and make a deep run into the playoffs. If they can do it against Dallas, I think my ceiling for them takes a big step forward. My floor doesn't move a whole lot. So I think this team right now, again, when you're talking ceiling to floor, is probably a team that doesn't deserve to be at the record that they're at. They've had the benefit of playing an easier schedule. They play in the AFC East, so of course that's going to help things out. But they've been playing well even in the games that they've had so far. For the most part, they've been playing well, and they've been winning tight games, which is important. So my opinion of the Bills, like I said, ceiling goes up, floor kind of stays the same, that they might just get to the playoffs, play against one of these top-level teams, and then take a quick bounce out, or they might beat them. And a lot of that will depend on this game against Dallas.
Scott, good to see you. Will, good to see you as well. Tell your wife we say hi, and a shout-out to your dad. Hope he just kicks cancer's butt. To Steve's comment, I think I'm a little bit higher on the Bills than Jake is, but it's not by a lot. To be honest with you, I again think when it comes into playoff kind of style of football, you need to be going on all cylinders. And Josh Allen has been playing a little bit better. I'll give you that. But you've also seen the games where you put 10 points up. It's like you're going to need to do a little bit better.
Or Miami hangs with you, or Cincinnati hangs with you.
Those games just kind of terrify me a little bit to be, if you're a Bear fans going to the playoffs and facing a lot harder competition.
Yeah, and you could have one of those games, right? If it was just Miami, I could chalk it up to that was a division rival. It wasn't the Buffalo Bills day, yada, yada, yada. But Cincy too, there have been a lot of other tight games they've had to play this year. I don't know. I just have never seen the Bills have that complete team win that I'm looking for a lot of times to say that a team is great.
They've had decent ones. I mean, what was it? Just a couple weeks ago, they played the Broncos and beat them like 41 to 10 or 41 to 17 or something like that. Was that the Broncos?
That was this last week they played the Broncos. It wasn't the Broncos. They beat the Broncos, but it was 20-3 against the Broncos.
Well, there was another game
which is good.
But you're right. You need to see more of that. When that's kind of the same kind of question we were asking about the San Francisco 49ers when they were undefeated. It's like we want to see an all-around victory out of them, and they gave us a few of them now against tough competition.
And even in a loss, I think where we really looked at the 49ers and said, man, this team could be the real deal, is where they played the Seahawks and they battled without some of their top weapons like George Kittle and Emmanuel Sanders, who went down in that game, and still managed to fight their way into an overtime loss that even though they did lose to the Seahawks, they were a field goal away, missing their field goal kicker, from beating a team that, again, is at the top level of the NFL. That's when we sat up and took notice. If the Bills do something along those lines, even if they lose a close game, but something happens to John Brown goes out, or you lose a couple offensive linemen, and they're still fighting, and it stays close, but they lose to Dallas, I'll say, okay, maybe there's more grit to this Bills team, and it's not just, hey, they're hanging with teams, and they've been on the right side of things sometimes.
Sharif says Buffalo will win on Thursday, but that will not be the statement win. They will see Baltimore at Buffalo in 2 weeks, and he says that's when we'll see it. The Bills are for real. Does a win or a close loss to a team like the Baltimore Ravens put the Bills on a higher pedestal for you?
Like, let's say they get blown out by the Cowboys right now. Let's say they lose 38-3, and then they go and play Baltimore and beat them. My opinion still goes up a little bit because I'll say, hey, maybe Thanksgiving, all the pressure on them.
It's realistically not a competitor they're used to playing against.
Exactly, and they are different types of teams. Maybe that's just who Buffalo stacks up better against, even though their defense has been pretty much great across the board, right?
Right.
I have no complaints on the defense. My questions aren't on the defense. My question is, will this offense be able to keep up? Because you have to be able to play a little bit of offense going into it. I know defense wins championships, and before everyone throws that cliche at me, yes, defense is incredibly important, but you do need to score a little bit in 2019 because the other teams that you're going to face in the playoffs will find a way to score points no matter how great your defense is.
Last final thought for me in the Bills is I want to see consistent, good quality play out of Josh Allen, and not just by his legs, by his arm, involving that receiving core that they built or brought around him. It needs to flourish better. I mean, the run game's great. Singletary, Gore, they're all playing well, but you're going to need to throw the ball at some point in time in these playoffs. Maybe you could squeak in a first win by running the ball, but if you face a high-flying offense, again, like the Ravens, where you're going to have to put up some points quickly because they run the ball so well, or like the Chiefs, where they can put up points really quickly and
right.
You're going to have to throw the ball then, those teams right there scare me in the playoffs against the Bills. Yeah, we'll see it against the Ravens in 2 weeks, but that's not playoff football. There's a huge different scenario in these games versus single or regular season games.
Sharif also said the Packers are a finesse team, and the 49ers just pushed the offensive line all night. I agree. I don't think this is a great matchup for them. I think the Packers built their defense this year, which was bad, remember, in 2018. Bad defense. They couldn't really run the ball. They built their team to run a little bit better with Matt LaFleur. And they also built this team to rush the passer and try to take away the pass because they looked at the Chiefs, they looked at the Rams and said, those are the teams that if we want to win a Super Bowl, we're going to have to square up against. The problem is, look at all the great teams this year. The Ravens right now, the 49ers, the Seahawks, even the teams like the Patriots, they're all running the rock.
Yeah.
They're all running the rock and they're playing defense. And I know the Bills fans are going to say, we're doing that too. It's just those teams have a lot of success running the rock and can run up a score too.
Yeah. Ian, I don't know if we said hi to you, man. Glad you're here. He said the Niners will beat the Ravens. Nothing more annoying than Ravens fans.
Shot across the bow. And Sharif also says, you read that one. Never mind. Will says, the Ravens versus 49ers in the Super Bowl. He's calling it now. That's not a long shot. I like that. I think at this point, those might be the odds-on favorites to make it from each conference. But Would you like to watch another Ravens 49ers rematch in a Super Bowl? I think it'd be fun. No one Harbaugh short this time, but it'd still be kind of fun.
Do the lights go off?
Only if one team goes down by a lot. Also, Steve says Sharif that he's looking forward to the Ravens game. I think all Bills fans should be, but I think this one's the one that you don't want to overlook because, again, they beat the Cowboys. My opinion goes up. If they dominate the Cowboys, I'm definitely feeling better about the Bills than I was going into this game. But we'll see. I think Thursday's going to be a big game for both of those teams because the Bills want to run down the Patriots, and they're running out of those tough games the Patriots are going to play to do that in. And the Cowboys also obviously want to clench their division. They want to take advantage while the Eagles are weak right now.
And, Steve, I don't want to take anything away from the Bills' record. They've earned it regardless how weak their schedule is or whatever. They still earned it. I mean, that's just plain and simple. They're one of the better teams in the NFL right now. I think it's the best opportunity for you as a fan and that team as going forward as being underrated. Almost a discredited team that has not earned those wins in a sense because those are the teams that other teams look past a little bit. Everyone credits the Bills for being a good team, but I don't consider they consider them one of the greater ones. And maybe that's a good thing for you guys moving forward.
I agree with you. Now, do you want to do baseball here? Because Sean's asking about baseball. Or do we want to stick to football?
Sean waited patiently.
He did. He's waiting for his Tuesday. I'll do it. All right, absolutely. He says, Drew, only asking you here. He's not happy with Brian Cashman. He knows you're our resident Yankees fan, so he's asking you. He says the New York Yankees need to fire Brian Cashman because of all their free agents coming up. Guys like Jacoby Ellsbury, Edwin Encarnacion, Didi Gregorius, Brett Gardner. And again, he's listed all 12 of them out here for you.
Yeah.
Is that too many to lose? The other thing I'll remind you is baseball, there are a lot of one-year contracts that get renegotiated every year. Yeah. So just because those guys are technically free agents right now, Sean, doesn't mean they're going to leave the Yankees. Usually the teams come to terms with them before the season starts, and then they come back on another one of those one-year deals.
Yeah. To be honest with you, Sean, you're probably looking at the majority of those being re-signed unless another team values them a little bit more than the Yankees do. You're probably looking at I don't think Ellsbury's coming back. I think he's going to be gone. Right. I don't really know if Didi's going to be there again.
Yeah, and they've pretty much said Gregorius is gone too.
Yeah.
But I don't think either one of those guys is wrong to move away from for the Yankees.
No, so you're probably, you got the list. I love it. There's actually some names on there that I didn't even know that they were leaving, or their contracts up. But, man, to be honest with you, they're going to sign them. But you also have to remember, again, what Cashman says, they are focusing on pitching. When you look at those names and you go through that, where on the batting chart does that scare you to lose that person? Nowhere, in my opinion, does that name scare me. It's like, oh, our scoring's not going to be anywhere near like it is if we lose that guy. Those are great pieces. Those are pieces that have been around there for a while. Mm-hmm. But there's no one that's like, you have to have that guy in your lineup if we're going to keep our scoring up when we focus so much on our pitching going into this in the free agency.
And that's the truth of it, Sean. I understand you're frustrated, but again, remember, the Yankees will get the chance to re-sign all of their guys before anyone else does. Before the true free agency period opens and those guys actually hit the market, they're going to get X number of days to talk to their guys and offer them new contracts. I think when you look at where the Yankees are right now, they know that they got to the playoffs on their bats. They know they need to be stronger at pitching. They'll probably keep 4, 5, 6 of those guys out of the 12, let the other 5 or 6 walk away, and then just open the wallet, because that's what they said they're going to do. They're going to try to spend to bring in pitchers. There's about 3 good ones this time that everyone's going to want. If they can land 1 or maybe even 2 of those 3 and just really just outspend everybody, the Yankees are going to be back. And they're going to be heavy, heavy favorites, kind of like we talked about the Astros this year, that everyone's going to be like, who's beating the Yankees?
Yeah. I mean, you could have said that a little bit the starting of this last year with the Yankees, because you look at the batting lineup, you're like, who's going to outscore these guys?
Well, everyone was like, the Dodgers are good. And everyone said they weren't beating the Red Sox going into this year because they're like, they don't have the pitching for it. Right. The bats outperformed
but you saw what they
the
did
lack of pitching.
You saw what they did 2 years ago where they outperformed everyone's expectations in the playoffs. Sean, I get it, man. I don't think Cashman needs to be gone. I do think Cashman needs to talk to ownership and get that wallet opened a little bit more. As a Yankees fan, we love to see them spending money and bringing in people. I like the names you threw out there. I think pitching is the most important. He brings out Strasburg. He brings out Zach Wheeler. and just saying, we need to pick
those
him
are
up.
two of the big three. The other one's Garrett Cole. And again, the dream scenario is, well, let's just go sign all three. But
what if it's like a Garrett Cole and another?
The problem is Garrett Cole's going to get $30-some million.
Madison Bumgarner.
I was going to say, the problem is Garrett Cole's going to get $30-some million, and even though Bumgarner's not the same guy he was when the Giants went on their runs, he's still a pretty dominant pitcher and is probably going to command, a hefty price. I don't see paying $50 million for those two guys, or 45 is going to be reasonable when you're talking about all those free agents you need to. Again, it's baseball. You spend what you want, but somebody's got to pay these guys. The money's got to come from somewhere. I don't know that the Yankees go that bananas when it comes to signing him. I like Bumgarner. I don't know what the number is to get him in, but they would really have to work out a good contract because I think Garrett Cole is going to make close to 30 a year.
Yeah, and I honestly think he's the one that they're targeting.
Yes, and he should be. You want to have you get your ace first, and then you want to have Batman and Robin. You have that second guy. All of a sudden, you can win a World Series.
I don't see Strasburg as much as I'd like it. I don't see Wheeler. I think it would be something.
If they miss on Cole, then I can see him.
Well,
but
I think Cole.
Yeah, I think Strasburg's going back to Washington. If they do miss on Cole and Strasburg or Wheeler are still out there and haven't signed with anybody, and I wouldn't as one of those guys till Garrett Cole lands because you want to see his contract first. Yeah. And you're going to say, hey, if the Yankees swing and miss on Garrett Cole, they're going to have a lot of money and need a pitcher, and I like money. So both of those guys can hold off. Just to round out our baseball talk here, they should be considering every option at starting pitcher because they're two guys away from winning a World Series.
Yeah.
They were realistically they were one guy away from beating the Astros. They needed one more better night, and they beat the Astros last year. But I think long term in baseball, you need to have those two guys at least. Having a decent third is nice, and then have the bats, and you're good.
Yeah. We have football comments. We have baseball comments. I don't want to get away from any of these. B's, good to see you. Michael, good to see you. Those are the two people I saw comment that have not commented yet. Let's get these baseball comments first, and we'll go back to them. Shree says the Yankees will be fine. Are they going to be fine without picking up any pitchers? I'd like to know that.
No.
And then Ian says, watch out for the New York Mets in the
How long have we been saying that? Oh, yeah, since Jake DeGrom and Noah Syndergaard have looked like good pitchers, we've been saying watch out for the Mets. And maybe even a little bit before that. Yeah, they have amazing pitching. And guess what? They still need the bats. And I like it for Mets fans because you still have something to build on. Jake DeGrom is a beast, an absolute monster. And I know Syndergaard had some ups and downs this season, but I think he's still a good pitcher. It's that Batman and Robin situation. And they have more good depth guys behind them at starting pitcher. But they can't hit.
They can't hit.
If you can't put one run on the board to get Jake DeGrom some wins, how are you expected to win a World Series? This is all about will they open the wallet to go sign some bats this offseason.
We'll see. Will says the Cubs need pitching. He's big about that. Steve goes, New York and Boston better hope that Toronto doesn't steal Cole or Strasburg. A solid ace with that lineup could be deadly. And Sharif goes, the Orioles need a whole team.
Yes.
They need new ownership.
Well, no, hold on.
No, they need
This
new
is what
ownership.
happens. Look at the Padres. The Padres are building some good stuff. The Diamondbacks are building some good stuff. Sometimes in baseball, you got to suck for 5 years.
I've got on my pedestal about this team prior to this, is they will get good players. They will develop good players.
And then no one wants to play in Baltimore?
Then no one wants to play in Baltimore. Yeah. But it's not even that. Ownership doesn't want to pay them to play in Baltimore.
Not everybody has the Yankees' money because, again, it's a free-for-all. There's no salary cap. There's a luxury tax, which means when I spend $300 more million, I got to give you like $8 to be like, oh, now it's fair.
Dude, just do it. So what are you wanting?
Because I don't have the money. Look at the Athletics. I don't have that kind of money to keep up with them.
Listen, anybody that buys it,
rich people are going to look at this and say, can I get into a pissing contest with this guy? And that's exactly what every one of these owners are. It's who's getting into the biggest pissing contest with everyone. Right now, the Yankees are winning. The Red Sox have caught up to that. The Dodgers are spending like that. And in the short term, the Astros have too. And guess who's been great in baseball these past few years? The Cubs, spending like crazy. They're like now the second highest team, or one of the second or third highest paid rosters. And guess who's winning? It's all about the pissing contest. And if you don't have the ammo, I don't mind saying, maybe it's not a good idea to try to see who will spend more, me or the Yankees.
So you just suck forever.
You just try to build up from the bottom and hope that remember, baseball, you hang on to those rookies forever. You get like 7 or 8 years once they hit the pros or something stupid like that, where you can lock those guys down forever. You just got to hope on hitting on like 2 draft classes, building up a roster of amazing players, and then trying to win like that. I mean, Oakland does it that way. To moderate success. They made the playoffs more often than some of these bottom-level teams, but It's not easy, Drew. There's no right answer. I'm not going to tell you there's a sure way to the World Series.
Pay your developed player that you brought up.
And then you let everybody else go because you're like, oh, yeah, now we're broke. I get it. Machado leaving hurt the Orioles like crazy. But I don't know, man. Again, you giving him $30-some million, one guy doesn't make a baseball team, and that's the problem.
It's a good start.
It is. And then just like rake in a lot more money and pay everybody when they're good.
Scott said they should allow steroids in baseball and make it more interesting. Let's see the real bombs and fastest
Well,
pitches.
they did juice the baseball to try to make it more interesting. Or at least if you listen to a lot of pitchers, they do.
Will wants to know, did the Cubs sign an ace pitcher this offseason?
I think they try, especially when you think about what they've committed to the bats. How do you not? I mean, they've had guys like Yu Darvish that, again, very good pitcher, but not quite to that elite level that you want to see. He's not the guy that every time he steps on the mound, you're like, the Cubs are going to win this game. And I think if the Cubs can get a guy like that, they're going to be right back on track. I think they do need to address starting pitching, but it's hard to say. Again, there's so many top teams. How do you pick which one's going to go sign the starting pitching they need?
Nathan, good to see you. Michael says, what do you think the Braves need?
What do I think the Braves need? I think they did just lose their closer. What's his name? They just signed him. No.
Yeah, I'm not good with the names.
Anyway, what do the Braves need? I think the Braves could still use some bullpen help. I think they could use another starting pitcher, and I'm going to say that a lot because there's like 28 other baseball teams out there that could use another starting pitcher.
To be honest, in my opinion, what the Braves need is just another season.
Yeah, and I was going to say that too. Acuna needs more time to develop as a player. I think when you look at it, Freeman, even though he's getting a little bit longer in the tooth, still has it in my opinion. I still think with him and Acuna coming up behind him, the Braves have what they need. In essence, again, they made a late trade to try to buff up the bullpen this last offseason. I'd like to see a little bit more permanent additions to their bullpen here. But I don't think the Braves are in a terrible spot. The question is, what do they need? They need to hit on 3 more young players like Acuna and then have a Cubs-level roster where they've just got all these, or a Yankees-level roster where they've got all these crazy bats and everyone's like, oh, look out. You know?
There's a lot of free agents that a lot of these teams could use, but to be honest, when I look at the Braves and I look what they did last year and the expectations of what they're supposed to do, to be honest, I mean, yeah, losing anything in the pitching pen is huge for any team, but to be honest, I'll say it again, just another year, man. Just let's see what this year holds for the Braves before they do crazy roster changes and start moving some pieces around. I think they're still a good young team.
Yeah, I do too. Nathan, good to see you, man. We didn't say hi to you, but I'm glad you're here.
That's okay.
And we'll move on. We'll go back to football if you're ready. Let's do some of these. You want to do a couple of these comments?
I all the way up. Bees said, I think as much as he likes Lamar, the 49ers take that game. The defense is quick, and Jimmy G is going to come through.
Talking about the 49ers versus Ravens hypothetical Super Bowl matchup. That's, I don't know. I want to see where these teams finish the year. The Ravens have impressed me a lot because even though I thought this team was going to be good, I thought their defense would take a step back, and it did early. And then they bring in Marcus Peters, and now they look like a complete unit again where they're just killing people. And on top of that, their offensive line has been one of the top 2 in football that nobody's talking about. They're able to run the ball with authority with both Lamar Jackson, Mark Ingram, Gus Edwards. It seems to not matter who it is running the ball. This offensive line is just blowing up these defensive lines every game they play. Yeah. And they've had flashes out of the receivers, too. Willie Snead's looked better this year than I've seen Willie Snead look maybe ever. And their rookie, Hollywood Brown, looks like he's going to be the best receiver out of this draft class.
Yeah, right now he does. Will says, in his opinion, the top 3 teams in the AFC right now are the Raiders, the Chiefs, and the Ravens.
Do we want to walk that back since the Raiders just lost to the Jets 34-3? Are you forgetting a team in two-tone blue that just blew up the Jaguars? No love for my guys? That's okay. It's because I say I hate Jameis Winston all the time. I understand, Will. I understand. I don't agree, but I understand.
The Raiders are not. You got to put the Patriots there. And to be honest, the way the Chiefs are playing right now, I don't even know if I'd put them up there as the best. To be honest, I don't.
I think the Ravens, you have to say, is the best team in the AFC right now.
I'll give you this. I'll give you this. Even though it was a close game, and it was, if the Chiefs right now went and played the Titans again, I think the Titans will win. I legitimately think that. If they played again this weekend, I think the Titans would beat the Chiefs. Just because we're not playing up to what we were last year.
I don't know. The Titans are feeling themselves. And you know what I say about the Titans? Every time they win a game or two, they're like, we're great. We're the best team in the NFL.
That's just, To be honest, I want that. I think I want to be the.
You want to see the Titans self-destruct?
I know. I want the Chiefs to be the underdogs. I don't want everyone to go out there and give the Chiefs their all like they've been doing because it's not winning. We're getting beat up with the offensive line is finally healthy, but the defense is atrocious. We can't stop the run. We can't stop the pass, and we can't put up enough points to beat teams. And it shows. And to put us up there as like one of the best teams, the AFC, I think it's just because the AFC is that weak.
And Sharif, my favorite commenter for this moment, says the Titans will be the number 6 seed. They got to beat Indianapolis first, and right now they're like 16 of 19 losing to Indianapolis. 16 out of the last 19 they've lost to Indy. Again, this is a hurdle that a lot of these players have yet to overcome. I think this is the next big step, and who knows, maybe they can do it. They should have done it the first time this season when Marcus couldn't muster more than 17 points against an average defense. This is a huge game coming up, and the Colts are coming off 11 days rest. I don't love that. And you're talking about the Titans having just played a matchup against Jacksonville that had a bunch of hype. Now they got to go on the road to Indianapolis. Oh, it ain't great, Sharif. I don't know. I love the optimism, but they have a tough schedule when you talk about Houston twice, the Saints after that. They play the Raiders too, which is still a playoff team, even though they just struggled against the Jets, and Indianapolis, who's a playoff hopeful. It's a tough run out for the Titans. The moral of the story is don't take those easy games in your schedule for granted, or you wind up in this situation.
Frank, good to see you, man. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Sean says he had a question for me. He says, how about Aroldis Chapman? How many years will he be a New York Yankee? To be honest, he keeps pitching the way he does. Probably as long as he's willing to take a contract. It's when you get greedy and you want more money, or the team's like, hey, we're not doing well, and we're going to get an asset by trading Chapman. That's the only time you're going to see it.
And they did that when the Cubs won the World Series.
Exactly.
They traded him, and he came right back. Exactly. Came right back to the well.
To be honest, I think he's going to stay Yankee until he can no longer pitch at a high level. As long
as they're a threat, they're going to want him around there. I mean, it's so hard to get a guy that throws consistently in the hundreds. He's one of the most dominant closing pitchers in baseball for this era. So, yeah, they're going to be interested in Aroldis Chapman as long as he can keep throwing those 100-mile-an-hour fastballs.
Michael wants us to rank the NFC teams.
We normally devote an entire episode to power rankings, but we'll do it.
Let's just do top 6.
Okay, for your playoffs.
For the playoffs.
All right. Right now, I'm going to say the 49ers are still the best team in football, even though they lost to the Seahawks.
I'll give you that. I agree.
I think the Seahawks might be the second best team in the NFC. Let me make sure I'm not missing anybody when I'm thinking about this. Obviously, the Packers are a good team, but I don't think they're quite as good as the Seahawks are. I think, especially when you look at the way they matched up against each other, the Seahawks should do what the 49ers just did to them.
You got the Vikings, you got the Saints.
Vikings are up and down. Even though I think they're a great team and can beat anybody, they'll have weeks where they come out against Denver and give up a quick 20 points. I like the Saints, but something about that offense doesn't seem to have the magic. I just worry about this team.
But that's got to be 3 and 4. I mean, if you're going to put the Seahawks at number 2, those are the two next teams that got to be 3 and 4.
I think the Packers can beat the Saints, and I think the Packers can beat the Vikings. I think those teams, it's just more because that's in division. That's where things get muddy. Yeah. I think right now it's Seahawks and 49ers in the NFC. After that,
I'll give you that.
You've got 3, 4, and 5 really close. I guess I'll say Saints, Vikings, Packers right now. Even though I like the Packers, and I know everyone's going to overreact to this loss because it was a bad one, but I think this team, especially against the more throw-happy teams, when you have guys like Kirk Cousins and you put him under pressure, or you have Drew Brees and you can put him under some pressure, I think both those offenses might stall against the Packers. I think that's the team nobody wants to play in the playoffs.
So you got one more team that is going to scrape in at the 6th seed.
I like the Panthers. I don't know if they're quite the 6th seed yet. The Cowboys are very good. This has been the number 1 offense before this week. I know their numbers probably took a dip playing against the Patriots.
Well, someone's got to go into that division. I mean, we have yet to talk to that division yet, right? Yeah.
Well, yeah, they'll make the playoffs, but if we're talking about who's just the best, I don't know that they land up there. I would take the Cowboys over the Rams. I would take the Cowboys over the Panthers.
They're one mistake away from beating the Patriots.
Yeah, barely though.
The interception.
Well, here's the thing.
The interception was a mistake.
We know the Patriots are not scoring the ball, and that's fine. When you're the number 1 scoring offense, I know they're a good defense. You got to put up more than 9 points. And I know they threw a pick, and we can point to that, but it's not just that play. They stalled out all game long.
How bad that weather is.
Sure, but they still stall. You can run the ball. You got Zeke Elliott.
That's okay.
If you didn't, if it was the Chiefs and we're like it was just the weather, I'd be like, okay.
That's more of a coaching issue and play calling problem.
Okay, but that's part of the team right now, and that's kind of what I'm putting in there.
I agree. Yeah, I'm just
I'll go Cowboys at 6. Not just because that's the division. I think they're better, slightly better than the Panthers.
I
think
just
they're
wanted to
slightly
remind
better.
you that division wasn't talked about.
I think they're slightly better than the Rams. I don't think the Rams' offensive line is good enough for this team to win.
I think the Rams are done. Even though they have great players and some great talent on that team, I think they're done. And it's not just the loss against the Ravens that made me feel that way. It's just the way this... Every time you think the Rams are about to take a turn towards going up, they plateau. And they literally go in a straight line, or they dip down.
I just don't think they got the... It could be Super Bowl hangover, but I think more than that, when your offensive line regresses, you can't rely on a pocket passer to just take your team to new heights. Todd Gurley's not running the way he was, so it's all on Jared Goff, and you're not protecting him. So, yeah, of course, bad things happen. I think that's exactly where the Rams are right now. So I'll go Cowboys at 6. Does that sound good? Are you okay with those rankings? 49ers, Seahawks... what I say, Saints, Vikings, Packers, Cowboys.
To be honest, I might put Carolina in there. Their fight against the Saints in that game really impressed me. Kyle Allen's having real struggle in like the last 2 games and coming and having a game like that against the Saints defense really impressed me. I think it's kind of like the Chiefs, where it's like, how far can you go on Christian McCaffrey? How far can you go on him running the ball and catching the ball out of the backfield in the playoffs?
I think we're underestimating DJ Moore, who's having a great year. Again, everyone's like, "Oh, it's just Christian McCaffrey."
I don't think I'm not trying to knock DJ Moore.
I know.
I just don't know how much a rookie quarterback is going to sit there and make DJ Moore a.
He's had a great year.
Is a problem in the playoffs.
Closing in on 1,000 yards. I agree. When you go and play the Patriots, they're hoping they do because that would be the Super Bowl.
Right.
Teams are going to take him away.
Exactly.
And I agree with that. But again, I don't buy into the hype that everyone's like, it's just Christian McCaffrey on this offense. There are decent players that are on this offense as well. Decent receiving weapons. They're not premier. I'm not telling you these are the best guys to ever play the game.
They will go as far as Christian McCaffrey will take them. I'm sorry. I'm not saying he's the only player.
They could do it.
Because that's like me saying that Patrick Mahomes is the only player on the Chiefs, but we're only going to go as far as Patrick Mahomes can take us.
Well, every quarterback. Your team only goes as far as the quarterback takes you.
So then you only go as far as Kyle Allen takes you?
Yes.
Which is not very far.
Well.
At this point.
Then I guess the Panthers don't deserve to be in that 6th seed. Huh?
Well, that's the same thing with Dak Prescott.
Not this year. He's in that contract year. It's time to get paid. Time to play well. Okay, we'll move on. Again, I like my rankings. I understand the Panthers being in there, but I don't necessarily know if that has to be the 6th seed. I think the Cowboys are still the 6th seed, even though they play in the East. Eagles, we didn't mention them. They just have their offense is shot right now. I got to see more before I'm willing to put them in the rankings. Too many
problems. B says, guys, do I play Baltimore D versus the 49ers or the Packer D versus the Giants? Need to win, and he's in.
Packers defense. Oh wait, Saquon. How did I forget about Saquon? That's tough.
Saquon's not looked good ever since that high ankle sprain. He's not 100%. To be honest, I don't even know if he's broke 90 yards since he's come back from it. At this point in time, I would play the Packers D because that Niners offense is a just like a team that can, when they get hot, they get hot.
They run the ball really well.
Real quickly.
But here's the thing, Jimmy. Go ahead.
4 out of 5 games, Jimmy Garoppolo has a quarterback rating of 110 or higher in the last 4 to 5 games.
One of those is in Seattle, which is impressive. One of those is against the Packers, which the defense is meant to stop the pass. That's impressive.
He's
but then again,
better.
when the ground game dominates the Packers, maybe not quite as impressive as I thought. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say take a risk on the Ravens and being able to disrupt Jimmy G. Yes, he's had a good stretch, but we've also seen Jimmy G play pretty poorly this year. He's not been the Jimmy G of the years past that they're like, look at this guy. Here's what we're building our franchise around. He's the reason we're winning games. He's not the reason this team's winning games.
Yeah, but
isn't making mistakes.
Ever since the addition of Emmanuel Sanders,
he's been better.
You have seen a flourish of it, and guess who he has? Emmanuel Sanders.
But,
I'm not saying he's the reason why, but it seems like the addition at wide receiver core has changed Jimmy G. So, do I think that the Packers defense is better than the Ravens defense? I don't know. Probably not right now. Not the way both teams are playing. I'll give the edge to the Ravens. But if I had to pick a defense to play in fantasy right now, I'm going to pick the Packers against the Giants offense or
Ravens take the ball away
against the 49ers.
Saquon's going to eat up this defense because everyone knows you run against the Packers.
Saquon is not what he was prior to this injury to his high ankle sprain.
I don't even know if that's the problem. I think teams take away Saquon first. I don't know the Packers are good enough to take away Saquon Barkley. So again, I'm gonna say take the risk. The other thing I'll say, Emmanuel Sanders has been hurt in that stretch that you're saying that he's improved. He's missed time during those, and Jimmy G's looked good.
All I'm doing is putting a timeline to it.
I understand. I think part of that might also be the fact that he's played the Cardinals twice in that 4-week span. So I'm going to say take a risk here, Bees. Yes, there's a higher ceiling and a lower floor playing the Ravens against a team like the 49ers. Take a chance on this defense that likes to take chances to take the ball away. Maybe you'll get a defensive score, and it won't matter how the rest of the game goes because the Ravens, if nothing else, have some guys that can make some plays in that secondary.
Jacob, good to see you. He says the Ravens look like the real complete team. I think we both at this point in time agree with you. I think we might put them up at the top of the AFC right now. Maybe Jake feels a little bit different, but the way they're playing looks really good.
I know I said Chiefs before the show, but yeah, I'm going to go Ravens and then Chiefs after that. I know everyone's like, oh, the Chiefs are struggling. Just wait till we get to playoff time, guys. I warned you. That's all I can say. I warned you.
Nathan says, he says the Pats versus the 49ers in the Super Bowl, and the Pats win 6-3. I sure hope not. And if it's not even the Pats winning, it's just I don't want a 6-3 Super Bowl.
Not again, right? Not after last year where we're like Rams Patriots. It's about to be 56-13, and we get 13-9. Okay. Oh, okay. We'll move on. Are you ready? Do we have any more comments we want to read?
Sorry. You want to read Frank's?
I'm like 3,000 behind. So, do I want to read Frank's? Of course I do. He says Green Bay got exposed. He thinks New Orleans, the Niners, Seattle's, Vikings, Packers, and Philadelphia. I don't think you want to talk about being exposed. Philadelphia in that offense, they have not played well these past couple weeks. I think this team that, while they're supposed to be dialing it up, is playing worse, it seems like, since they've had some injuries to the wide receiving group.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. You're talking about being exposed.
This just isn't the team they're built to match up against. They focused on their edge rushers, and they focused on their secondary. Then they have to go and play smash-mouth teams.
And they let their defensive tackle, Mike Daniels, go to the lines. I mean,
because they didn't want to pay him.
Right, but I know you got Blake Martinez, but he can't do it all, even though he seems like he wants to.
Yeah.
It's just... Steve says Green Bay is not who we think they are. Where... Okay.
Slow the roll, homie. Slow the roll. Again, this is the case of them not matching up well. If they go into the playoffs, there's a good chance they take another beating like this from the 49ers.
I also saw a comment back that said the Packers will make a first round out in the playoffs. This might be true, but even if the Packers are the sixth best team in the NFC, besides Philly, because I don't agree with that, who is the next team that's going to take that spot?
It would be Carolina, but they've had some bad losses here. Again,
I'm just talking. Well,
yeah, that's about it.
I'm just saying.
Philly and Carolina. It's not Chicago. They're dead in the water. It's not the Lions.
Dallas down there.
They're dead in the water. I think Dallas could do it. I think Dallas could beat the Cowboys or could beat the Packers, but I think that would be more of a slugfest where the Packers could just go after them. Yeah, I know. The problem is the Cowboys have done really well against bad teams and have done very poorly against good teams. I think the Packers, to me, are the favorite in that game. I'm with you. I think the Packers... I don't want to say they've been exposed. Remember, this defense was terrible last year. I think they still need weapons at wide receiver. Their running backs are playing better. Their offensive line is playing a little bit better than last year. Aaron Rodgers is playing a little bit more, even though it's more conservative. He's been effective this year. This is still a good team. Sure, they've got weaknesses. But one offseason, you can't look at them and say, well, the defense should just be elite. And, oh, man, they should just be able to throw on everybody when all they have is Devontae Adams that's like a legitimate receiving threat. And don't give me Jimmy Graham. I'm so tired of hearing tired of hearing about all these tight ends in Green Bay that are going to be the next big thing, and then they give me 2 fantasy points. Okay?
Right. I'm going to get you off subject here. Let's do a different comment. Will says, who are the top 5 running backs in the NFL this year?
This year?
I think that's what he meant.
I really need to think about this. Are we talking about just production-wise, or are we talking about who's playing the best? Because I don't think it's potato.
It's this year, so it'd be this year's production, this year's stats. Who are the top 5 running backs? And don't even give me 1 through 5. Just give me the top 5.
I'm going to go off the reservation. I'm not going to say that it's the guys that you're typically thinking of. I think Austin Eckler needs to be in that conversation. When you talk about what he's done for a team that's struggled this badly and how dynamic he is and how he's basically almost the entire offense at this point.
He was, yes. Yeah, I agree.
And they've taken a lot of carries away since Melvin Gordon's been there, but he's still good. If you play him in fantasy, the guy's still put up 12, 15 points a week playing with half the snaps that he used to be playing with. I think Austin Eckler needs to be in that conversation. It's tough to say which one of the 49ers you want to pick. It's tough to say which one of the Ravens you want to pick. It's the committees that are winning this year as opposed to the single guys, because we've seen Zeke Elliott take a step back in production. We've seen Alvin Kamara take a step back because of injury. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey's in that, right?
So you got Austin Eckler, you got Christian McCaffrey. Not in order. Real quick, Jason, good to see you. Ray, good to see you. I'm glad that you guys are here to join us. I'll get you guys' comments in a second. We're going We're going the top 5 best running backs in the league right now per stats, per just this year.
Dalvin Cook needs to be in there for sure.
And it's not in order by any means. So you got Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler,
and I think those two are pretty clear,
Cook.
1 and 2. Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, everybody else. Can we agree with that?
I'll give you that. I just don't want you to do top 5 because then it gets it harder. So you got 2 more running backs right now.
Frank Gore. He's the 3rd time all time in yardage from the rushing perspective. Has to be Frank Gore. No, I'm kidding. Let me think. Who else would I put in that list? I'm trying to run through everybody's running back to make sure I don't miss anybody.
Yeah.
Would you say... I don't know. Again, there's a lot of great running backs that are struggling this year. Guys like Joe Mixon, struggling right now. Guys like Saquon Barkley, struggling because of the setting. Again, I think those guys are doing pretty well.
I'm going to give you Leonard Fournette. And the reason I give you that is, there's been a couple down games for him, but he has played behind a very terrible offensive line for half the season, and he has kind of showed himself. And my last guy that I'm going to put up there, just because of the surge of what he's had these last couple of games, is Derrick Henry. And that's only because of really the last couple of games. If you took those games out, Derrick Henry would be out, and I'd probably be looking more someone like maybe Alvin Kamara before he got hurt, but he's been hurt. So to be honest with you, there's no, besides Cook and besides McCaffrey, in my opinion, there's no one else that really sits up there with those two guys.
I think Eckler would be if he played the whole year. And they didn't decide they were just splitting. Because it's like Melvin Gordon came back and they're like, all right, back to your spot, back to your place.
And an honorable mention, because I don't want to forget about him, Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, okay. I'll give you Josh Jacobs. I think he's been very good this year. But you were asking me who's winning this year at running back? The committees.
Yeah.
Almost every team now has decided that, hey, having one guy is not the way to go. I want to have somebody to spell this.
Mark Ingram, another great, yes.
Mark Ingram's good, but Gus, look who's looking just as good as Gus Edwards. Even though he's coming in for mop-up duty, Gus Edwards, every time it seems like he goes in there, the guy's killing it.
Sharif, yes, Derrick Henry. Maybe he doesn't do great the first half, but watch this guy the second half of the season. The guy just mauls tired defenses over.
You got to look at it, too. The Titans, especially under Mariota, had no offense going for them. They had nothing. Everyone was choking up on them. Just like I said with all these other bad teams, they're stacking the box against them in the first half of the season. Now that they can throw a little bit with Tannehill, now you're starting to see the production come in. I think Derrick Henry's going to be a great free agent this offseason, and I think someone's going to pay him other than the Titans. I think someone's going to give him some crazy money because he's a big back that has home run ability that when he hits the open field, he can turn on the Jets and outrun a lot of players.
Jason says we all know about the Ravens' offense. How about that defense?
They were terrible to start. Absolutely atrocious.
The additions of Marcus Peters and I always forget the other guy they brought in the defensive line.
On the defensive line.
I think it was the defensive line. I can't remember. It's okay. Ever since they did the additions that during the before the trading deadline, it definitely helped. It was definitely really well. Marcus Peters is getting a second life, I guess a third life in Baltimore. It looks like they fixed their woes.
Yeah, and again, I think Marcus Peters has been the biggest point of that. They've struggled to stop the pass all year long, or at least for the first half of the season. Then they go and trade for Marcus Peters, and now it looks like the defense is back to being elite again. Well, I give credit to John Harbaugh because every year it seems like he has this Ravens defense ratcheted down. Even though they lose players, we're like, oh, Ravens are done. There goes the defense. And they always find their way.
Real quickly, because Ray brought up another name and I missed it. I'm sorry I missed it, Ray. Was Aaron Jones in our comment. Is Aaron Jones better than Jamal Williams? He deserve a target at the top 5 running backs in the league right now?
I don't know. He's the best running back in the Packers, and that's not an insult because they have 2 good ones. Again, who's winning? The committees. We're not seeing teams rely on one guy anymore because they're afraid of getting Todd Gurley'd, where I overwork him. The only teams that seem to not care about that are the Vikings, and even they're using Madison a little bit, who's been a great draft pick, by the way. I love that one. The other team is Carolina, and Carolina has, for years kind of just shrugged off the idea of shelf life and controlling reps and everything else. Instead, they're like, if we've got them, we're going to play them.
Ian says the Ravens will stumble in the playoffs. One team actually studies their films. How do you say the Ravens will go down their first game in the playoffs?
Well, it'll be interesting. And here's the other point that I want to make. Look at what the Chargers did, where last time they played, they put 7 defensive backs out in the field to try to just run down Lamar Jackson and take that part of the game out. kind of concerned that other teams haven't tried to do that, and things might be different this year because they're running better with their running backs than they were last season. Mark Ingram, I think, has been one of their best additions because of that, because now they almost have that two-pronged attack. I could see the Ravens stumbling for sure. Young quarterbacks tend to not succeed in the playoffs. Lamar Jackson, we all forget this is only his second year.
Jason answers it, maybe, but you can't be prepared for the quickness of Jackson.
The Chargers were last season, and again, that was one game.
Okay, this isn't the answer. This is not the answer. But teams that have a fast safety that isn't required to be part of that secondary covering the pass is the answer to beating, in my opinion, Lamar Jackson. You put a safety that's quick, that can spy him. You're not going to stop Lamar Jackson running. You're not. But you can control it in the sense of it's not going to be a first down every time he breaks the pocket.
Not to mention that when you get to the playoffs, the refs like to keep the yellow flags tucked.
And it would be nice if it was a linebacker. Problem is, he's so fast, it's got to be one of your guys in your secondary.
And like I said, you get to the playoffs, the refs like to keep the flags in their pockets because they want to keep the games interesting and exciting for everybody watching. So that, kind of like when Cam Newton went to his Super Bowl, that's when all the roughing starts coming in, right? All of a sudden you get a lot of guys laying the wood to Lamar Jackson every chance they get. Just rough him up. We've seen that work in the past against mobile quarterbacks and against every quarterback. I mean, they did it to Brett Favre when he was with the Vikings. That teams have taken advantage of the fact that the refs will call fewer penalties in the postseason than they will in the regular season. You're asking me, how do you beat the Ravens? That's how. You put a good defense out there and you go hit this guy early and often all game long.
Yeah,
it's cheap, but
to be honest, you need a guy spying him. But that's just me.
You need like 3, but you can't always give 3.
You honestly do. You need somebody spying him. Jacob says, "I don't know. I see the Ravens going pretty far in the playoffs because Lamar Jackson is playing very good, and he is not even a Ravens fan. He's a Cowboys fan. But you gotta like what Lamar Jackson is doing."
I agree. I think you have to look at it and say, hey, this is the kind of positive progression we wanted to see out of Lamar Jackson, and what a lot of people, including me, said that we weren't going to see. But am I ready to say Lamar Jackson is just going to be a dominant force in the NFL? No, but this is a good year, right? Guys have good years, though, and disappear, so take it with a little bit of grain of salt.
I think this Jason's comment might be what I was saying. He says, but you have to protect the pass now. He can throw with the best of them.
I disagree with that.
The main part is the offense of line that is keeping him clean. Again, my comment is there is a lot of safeties that come up in the box and sit there and play the run. And this is where I'm saying is when you have a secondary that is capable of holding him back, maybe it's the Bills defense. Maybe that's a defense that could shut out Lamar. I said this prior to the game. I thought the Rams could possibly hold back Lamar Jackson a little bit. I thought they had the personnel. You have someone like Aaron Jones who can control that defensive line, the offensive line. You got Jalen Ramsey that could cover, their best receiver. That didn't happen. And you also have Eric Weddle. But I think the problem with Eric Weddle is he has nowhere near the speed he needs to be, because when you watch that game and you watch Eric Weddle, he was part of the tackles, but that's already 10, 15 yards deep into his run. And then that is an issue.
And you're not asking a 35-year-old man to keep up with Lamar Jackson.
And let's also forget, those quick 2 touchdowns really put the Rams behind defensively, which was a struggle against a team like the Ravens who can keep the ball in their possession a majority of the time with their run game. You're asking a lot out of a 35-year-old safety to keep up with them. I think if the game would have went out a little bit different, where they would have kept the game a little bit closer, still think the Rams would have won. You might have seen a different outcome of Lamar Jackson's game, but still, got to give it to him, man. He's quick, he's fast. He is very hard to stop, no doubt.
I do want to contest where Jason said that Lamar can throw with the best of them. I still don't think he's an elite passer. I still think he's missing some throws, but he's been much better, which is important, and it's enough to get the job done. But I do love exactly what you talked about with the offensive line, because this is the unsung hero for the Ravens. If this was like Deshaun Watson, and they had a Houston-type offensive line that's just letting guys in the backfield nonstop, Lamar Jackson would be struggling mightily right now. I think that has been the biggest key to success, and it's not just Lamar Jackson. It's everybody's key to success. This offensive line has been maybe behind the Colts as the best one in football, maybe ahead of the Colts when you look at how well they've run and pass blocked. This team has had one of the top 2 offensive lines, and everyone else is in the dust behind them. So, yeah, I give you a ton of credit there, Jason. You're 100% right that the offensive line has been the best asset, at least in my opinion, for the Ravens this season.
We got some great more comments. Ray says, Man, do you all think old man Bill will let Lamar run all over his defense again? He doesn't think so. He says the Pats will knock off and that will get
knock off the Ravens in the AFC
There
Championship.
it is. Yeah, because of Bill.
Yeah, I mean, to date, they've been a tough team to go up against. They always seem to find a way to scheme away your best option, and right now the best option for the Ravens is let Lamar Jackson make plays with his feet.
Yeah.
And he has thrown and everything else, but...
Steve says, am I the only one who thinks that Josh Rosen has had his self-confidence destroyed? Before you answer this, I think it was already questioned about his comments about caring about football as much. You want, especially as your quarterback, in your franchise to only care about football, and that's it. And some of the comments he made coming through the draft and in college had a lot of question marks. Now, of course, him and his whole camp came out and said, that's not true. He's given his whole life to this, blah, blah, blah.
And he comes from money, so he's got options. A lot of these other guys don't, and that's why people are questioning his commitment.
It was already questioned, not his confidence, but that does hit a young kid where you're hearing, man, these people think I don't care about the game as much as I actually do, even if he does or does not.
And again, you're playing on two of the worst offenses in NFL history, or they at least deserve an honorable mention when we're talking about those lists, between the Cardinals last year before they brought in all these weapons and the Dolphins this year after they traded away everything that they possibly had. I think, again, how do you judge a guy on those 2 years? I'm not saying your team needs to be the one to go trade a second-round pick to go bring him in to give him that shot, but yeah, wouldn't that wreck anyone's confidence? You're constantly under pressure. You're constantly struggling. You're making mistakes because you're a young quarterback. This is why, and again, we've kind of butted heads over this in the past. This is why I'm saying the Cardinals should not have played Rosen. There is no time that when you're that bad, you need to put your top-level rookie in to just get him murdered because things like this can happen.
Jacob says he agrees that the Bills' defense is pretty good. I think he was talking about me saying that the Bills could possibly hold the Lamar Jackson back. He says he means the Patriots couldn't even score on them. The Patriots' defense is a good one. They got that touchdown.
It was special teams, but yes. Yeah, I agree with you. The Bills could do it. The Patriots could do it. The Titans could do it, I hope. But we're not super athletic, so it's hard to say. I don't know.
Let me get to this comment. Will says, can we discuss the improvement of the Bucs secondary? All I got to say, man, is it's about time. They put a lot of draft picks into that secondary.
They're going to go do it again.
And they focused it quite a bit. It's about time. But when you say improvement, are you just meaning like you're seeing positives come out of it? Because
they played Atlanta well.
I talk about positive in Kansas City's secondary, but that doesn't mean they're going to go out there and stop a great passer.
Positive means let's move from 32 to 28 and see if that makes a difference.
So when you talk about, can we discuss the improvement of it? It's about time.
Hargraves has had a couple of decent games.
It's about time.
I'll give you credit. And that was a guy that, again, when they took him, I was like, not real wild about this. It's just what it is. I don't think he's played great, but he's had a couple good games. I think Tampa Bay's had a couple good weeks. They did a good job against Atlanta here. They played tough, up front. I just still think the talent level in the secondary is not good enough. But I think you're better because Todd Bowles has put together a good defense. So you'll see some improvement, but I still think they're going to need more talent for this defense to take the next level. Look at how your front seven's improved.
Yeah,
that to me
the second best run defense.
Yeah, that to me is more important that you need to look at. Guys like Shaq Barrett looking like he's an all-star when he leaves Denver because Denver's like, we don't want you.
Vita playing tough. You got Sue there, which you got to sign him if you expect that to stay that way.
Pierre-Paul even coming back from a neck injury because he wants to play. I mean, if this team had no hope, do you think Pierre-Paul rushes back from a neck injury to get back out on the field? Right. I'm not so convinced.
Right.
I think for whatever reason, you ignore the record, you look at what the Buccaneers are doing. He says, I want to be involved with this in this year and years going forward. So the Buccaneers, it's not great, but I think the best thing they've done this offseason is hire two good coaches in Todd Bowles as their defensive coordinator and Bruce Arians as their head coach.
No doubt. Do we want to get in to the Thursday games?
You ready to talk Thursday football?
It's kind of time. It's kind of time to get into it. I love all the comments, guys. I'm not going to ignore your comments. By all means, please keep commenting and ask us questions. We'll get into it, but we got to start talking about these games, or we'll never get out of here.
I agree. Let's start. Let's talk about the Bears and Lions first because it's the first one in the morning, and we're contractually obligated to talk about every game that goes on.
This is a game that
You're excited for it.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it. Trust me, I'll be watching this game. This is a game where I really honestly kind of want to pick the Lions to win this game. I know that I picked against them against the Redskins, but maybe that was an embarrassment game. Maybe that was a game that the Lions are kind of like, we could do better this. You got the addition of Bo Scarborough that seems to be running pretty well so far. And then on the other side of the ball, when you look at this Bears team, they're just as much shambles as the Lions are. But if there was one that got more embarrassed than the other last week, it's got to be the Lions, right? I mean, it's got to be the Lions.
So you're taking them?
No, I am not. I still believe in this. I still believe in this Bears defense. I believe at some point in time that talent is going to show, and they're going to tear someone apart like Jeff Driscoll. And I hope that it's this game because I'm going to take the Bears to win this game.
I still like Jeff Driscoll. By the way, on record, I want to say that he looked good in Cincinnati. He looked good for the first game there in Detroit. I think he's one of the better backup quarterbacks nobody talks about. But you're not going to beat this Bears defense with a backup quarterback. It's that simple. Again, Bo Scarborough's look good. It's not going to matter in this game. I think more than anything, the Bears are one of those teams clinging to life that they're saying, if we win out, if we do this, if we do that, it needs to start every week. I think they're going to have enough motivation in this game to go and win it. Mitch Trubisky shouldn't struggle too much with this defense. I think it's still going to be 19 points. 18 points.
Stafford has a back issue, and
Stafford has a broken back, is what it is. And he said he was broken all the way from week 16 last year.
I think he has a shoulder issue, and I think he might have a hip issue. His whole, I know the back is what everyone's pointing to, but he's a pretty banged up guy right now. Real quickly, predictions. Steve says the Bears are going to win 24-14 against the Bears. The Lions are going to win 24-14 against the Bears. Sorry if I said that wrong. Will said the Bears defense doesn't show up due to a hangover, so he's going Lions win. And Ian is also going to go the Lions, Bills, and Falcons. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's okay.
I just wanted to get that
out.
No,
by all means. I interrupt you all the time. Have fun with it. My final thoughts on this game, I suppose, if I want to look at it. I know some people are saying the Bears won't show up, like Will was saying. Matt Stafford broke his back last year, supposedly, or has a small fracture in his back, and he played through that this year while the team was winning. And kind of like I said with Quandre Diggs when they traded him, I feel like the team was giving up a little bit. Now that the record looks like this, why are you not parking your 31, 32-year-old quarterback to try to get him healthy for next year? They're trying to build a franchise. They're trying to build on some of the success they've had this year. You don't do that by playing your quarterback in a meaningless game, and for them, this is a meaningless game. I think that's why they lose. Even though Jeff Driscoll's going to give them hell, and I think he scores 16 points here, and we're in for another 19-16 affair with the Bears, and we're like, man, how they won, but did they?
To just talk about Matthew Stafford a little bit, I honestly think he's still your franchise quarterback. I still think he's the guy that you want to be at your helm. This guy is very talented. He's just banged up. I know there's a lot of talk about them drafting a quarterback. Maybe they do later in the rounds, but it's not going to be early in this round. So you got to focus on that defense. You got to focus on that offensive line. You got to focus on the receiving core.
You got to not take a tight end in the top 10, even though I like Hawkinson. Again,
absolutely, I agree.
Value.
I agree that pick was not. I mean,
value-wise,
they wouldn't.
You got to go somewhere else.
They wouldn't have got him anywhere else.
And that's exactly what I've said since the draft. Value-wise, you can't take tight end.
He's a good player, but you got to focus other places. Darius Slay is not what your secondary. He cannot be your only secondary player. To be honest, I think he's kind of dropping off a little bit. I'm not saying he's terrible. There's a lot of things you got to focus on, and of course, all said and done, this team needs to be healthy. Their defensive line is torn up with injuries. The offensive line needs to be reworked a little bit. Ragnow, I think is his name, is he needs another year, hopefully, for them to get better.
And they have Jared Davis, too.
Yeah, there's a lot of pieces this Lions team is missing, and that's a huge reason why you don't have Matthew Stafford out there.
No, I'm with you. I think this team is just cruising to the offseason, and the Bears still think they have something to play for. You go with the team that has something to play for. Let's talk about Bills Cowboys, because this is going to be the best, and in my opinion, the only game that I'm going to be watching with bated breath because it has so much impact on the NFL. Not just for my team, but for every team. The Cowboys need this one. Kind of like we've been talking about. Even though the Eagles have struggled, they have a weaker schedule coming up here. They're going to be able to take advantage of some teams going forward. I think the Cowboys almost need this one just as bad as the Bills do. Both of these teams are playing for everything. The Bills need to run down the Patriots. They want to get that divisional win. They want to get a bye in the first round. Yeah. They want to prove that, hey, we are legit contenders, kind of like Steve was talking about, as opposed to what guys like me are saying right now, that, hey, they're winning, but they're not doing it impressively. So this is a big game for the Bills. As for the Cowboys, you cannot drop another one and let the Eagles catch up to you. You just can't do it. I know they're going to play again in December, and that'll be a great game to watch, but you can't tell me that the Cowboys aren't looking at this like, hey, we need to beat this Bills team.
Sean, we will not be live on Thursday night. We got our family stuff going on.
We'll be back on Friday, though.
Yeah, we're obviously watching all the football, but we will not be live on Thursday. I'm going to go Bills, and I really struggled with this decision.
Also, Drew wants to go fight the Black Friday hordes, so he's going to go out there with the machete and his...
Hey, I got my connections. My TV's already spoken for me. It's there waiting for me, okay?
Just wait, that toaster you've been eyeing that you're going to get for $3 off.
It's actually a hand blender.
He's going to kill somebody for it.
It's a hand blender. And I will throw my phone at someone's
Mad
forehead.
Max style. But
that's all. That's the only weapon I have on me is my phone. So it will be thrown at someone's forehead. I'm going to pick the Bills. And the reason I'm going to pick the Bills is it's not that the Cowboys played a bad game. They were outcoached. They were not prepared for that weather. They made really bad decisions. They didn't rely on Zeke Elliott, which realistically he was having some success. I think he was averaging about 4 yards a carry for a while there in the game. I don't know if that's what he finished with, but I think this Bills team is playing a little bit better. And I think this team is going to need to show that they can beat the better teams because they have had a weaker schedule. And that's not a knock on them. I think it's a knock on the fact that, you need to face tougher competition. And I like to believe that the Bills can raise up to that kind of talent level that the Cowboys have. And I'm going to go with the Bills. I think the defense shows up. I think their young corner covers up Amari Cooper. He won't shut him out, but he will be held in check. And Zeke does what Zeke does, but I don't think it's going to dominate it. And the run game of the Bills will keep the offensive line or the opposite side of the ball of the Cowboys on the sideline.
Do you want to make this one a beer bet? Because I'm going Cowboys, and I think more than anything, kind of the reason I said I wanted to wait till we get to this point, I wanted to see how this Patriot game went for the Cowboys before I made any definitive statements. I think the Cowboys got embarrassed a little bit. They were the number one offense. Then they go and play New England, and they get taken out of their shoes. Like, they got dominated in that game. Yeah. And you can't tell me different. If you scored 9 points as an offense, I know you're saying Zeke had a little bit of success, and yes, they took Amari Cooper absolutely out of the game. I think that's going to play into this just as much as anything. I think it's going to be a close game. I think the Cowboys score 26 points, and I think they do it late, and the Bills only score 19. I think the Bills might have the lead for much of this game, and then the Cowboys say, it can't be 2 in a row. We need this one, and they're going to get that. That's going to be the difference. I know the comments are going Bills, but
Steve is going Bills 28-17 against the Cowboys. Jason says World Star.
Have the Bills scored 20? You're talking about your Black Friday escapades. Yeah. Have the Bills scored 28 points yet, Steve? That's what I want to know in a single game. Oh, they did against Miami.
Yeah, 41 points. The Bills. Sean says Bills 40 to the Cowboys 10. Ray says Bills will win and Jason Garrett will get fired on Friday. Do y'all agree?
And Jason, not as long as they're in playoff contention.
Jason says he needs to be.
Not as long as they're in playoff contention and as long as he's Jerry Jones.
It must be a Jacob thing. Mm-hmm. He says he is going to say Cowboys 27, Bills 21.
I think that's a reasonable score. Again, I think we're kind of underestimating how good this Cowboys defense can play. Even though they lost the Patriots, they still only gave them 13 points. I think these offenses are on similar levels, Patriots and Bills. I think the Bills are going to score like 13 to 15 to 18 points. I think we're kind of overestimating how many points Buffalo is going to put up, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. The Cowboys defense has not been elite for any.
You're wrong because I'm taking the Bills.
Okay, well, 18 points can win you a game. Just ask Buffalo or the Titans for the first half. Wait, what?
Let's go to the late game of Thanksgiving. We're all going to be sleeping because tryptophan has beat us, and turkey will put you to sleep. And
I won't be. Like I said, I'm going to be out there cruising those Black Friday deals, even if you're not. Black Friday starts on Thursday these days.
Dude, what are you going to buy?
Everything at Walmart. Everything. I'm going to be out there in the home goods section shoving people because I got to have it before they do.
You got to have that new curtain.
Yeah, exactly. Shower curtain, bro. It's got Martha Stewart's face on it.
What about those hand towels you were eyeballing the other day?
I know. I'll be like, I'll be there on Black Friday. I got it all mapped out.
Did you rub it and say I'll be right back?
Sniffed it too. You'll be mine soon. All right. As for this game, as for the Saints versus Falcons, who would have believed it? The Falcons won the first time around, especially when you look at the way they played against teams like the Buccaneers and just about everybody else this year. They beat them last time. Does it happen again? I'm going to go with a big fat no.
Yeah, Falcons have been playing a lot better. But then again, I will sit there and tell you, I will not pick the Falcons. You got to cut those wash rags, bro. Thank you, Jason. I will not pick the Falcons for the rest of the year, so I cannot pick them, regardless if I think anything different, which I do not. I had the Saints winning this game.
Also, Steve says Josh Allen will be 21 of 34. Okay, I can see that as a completion percentage. 293, no. And 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I may give you the 0 interceptions. I don't know if the Cowboys are going to be good enough to take this one away. I think it'll be more like 1 passing touchdown and 2 rushing touchdowns if that happens. He has been
playing a lot better.
For 260 yards, and we'll be like, hey, this is a better game, right?
He has been playing a lot better.
I just don't see him dominating this Dallas defense. I don't. They've got a lot of guys on there that still have a lot to play for. They're not good this year. Yeah, and they're not as good this year because everyone got paid.
I guess everyone's banged up. That's such like a cliche thing to say.
They're a little banged up, but it's week 13. They're a little
banged up.
Yeah. I know, you're right there. You're definitely right there. I don't know. It's tough to say. Steve's saying Saints 35, Falcons 10. Well, that's what we said the first time, and we missed. I think it'll be close.
I think the Falcons will put up more points than 10.
I think it's on prime time. Guys want to show out. You're trying to save your coach's job. You're trying to save your job, and this is a great stage to do it on.
This might be a Michael Thomas and Julio Jones. They might both have 15 receptions, 200 yards, and a touchdown.
Don't tell me that. I'm benching Julio in fantasy for Tyreek Hill this week because, honestly, I don't have any faith in Julio anymore.
Tyreek's banged up, man. He might not play.
Yeah, he better. I got him. I got Adam Thielen. I got Julio Jones. Everyone's banged up.
If that's play the game. Hold on. If that's honestly who you're doing, dude, you need to play Julio because he's a guaranteed play. Tyreek is not a guaranteed play right now.
I think I'd rather play anyone but Julio because this guy has been a perennial 6.5-point disappointment for me. Julio's not Julio anymore. You're breaking my heart, Fredo.
Jason says, "How is Atlanta so bad?" And
their defense is trash.
There other division in football that switches division winners like the AFC South.
Like the NFC South. But yes, the AFC South is exactly
the NFC South because I was going to answer the AFC South.
Exactly. Also, Steve says Calvin Ridley is a better option, but I don't have him, so I don't have that option.
Andrew
says Tyreek ain't playing.
Good to see you. Good to see you, Andrew.
Yeah, he says Tyreek ain't playing. Well, he better. Him or Thielen, one of the two, and then they'll get hurt in the first quarter and then go sit back down on the bench. I think Tyreek Hill will play. I think there's a lot of speculation around him, but I also think he's the kind of guy that when it comes down to game time, he wants to play, and he's already missed a lot of time. I think the Chiefs need him to play. I think they're going to be more interested in him playing than if they were like 9-2.
He's also telling you to pick up Hardman and play him.
There's no picking up Hardman. This league is sweaty as hell. This is my money league.
That guy's picked up. He's got like 6 touchdowns. You pick him up.
That is a great recommendation. If your league is not super sweaty, full of guys that really want to win this. I mean, like trolling through Reddit trying to figure out how to win their fantasy football league.
Touchdowns are not important.
Yeah,
because he's got 6. That's a lot for a receiver.
Yes,
I'm guessing 6. He might have 5, but that's still a lot for a receiver.
Yeah, it's just one of those situations that I've got a tough decision to make, and Julio perennially lets me down.
Ian says,
not even perennially, week to week he lets me down.
Ian says Steelers are banged up and the 6th seed, no excuses.
What do you mean no excuses?
Well, I guess because being banged up is no excuse.
Sure. Yeah. Well, yeah. Like you talk about banged up, they're missing 2 quarterbacks, or they missed one and then bench their other, and they're still winning games. Sure. Yeah. I'm all in on it. That's what a good defense can do. And
I dropped Hardman, by the way.
Well, I'm gonna go scoop him up then in that league. I'm not in.
I'm one of those guys.
Yeah. Rebel.
I'm like, what? You haven't scored me a touchdown in a week?
Get out of here. Let me just go sign Jacoby Brissett to be my 4th quarterback.
How do you know?
I know your strategy because you kept telling me to do it during our show thing. Why do you think our team's so bad? Just kidding. I picked some of those guys too.
Some?
Oh, yes, some. He says like he didn't pick half the league. We're going to go back and watch that.
The only reason that we had 5 games in a row we won is because of my picks.
Oh, is that what it was? All the losses are mine, but all the wins are yours?
Yeah, you didn't know about that or
as long as I'm clear on how things work.
Okay.
All right.
5-7? That's pathetic.
And Andrew James says Jacoby Myers. I like him. Steve says John Brown. Again, sweaty league, man. Somebody's got John Brown. It's a deep bench league as well. I think we got 16 or 17 spots, so John Brown likely not available. Jacoby Myers likely not available as well, but I'm going to take a look for him after this game. I have a wealth of
Pringle.
I have an embarrassment of riches at wide receiver, and none of them seem like they're ready to play. I got Adam Thielen. I've got Adam Thielen. I've got Tyreek Hill. I've got Julio Jones. I got Marquise Brown. I got everybody. I got everybody you could ever want, Andrew. And you know what happens? None of them are going to play this week because they're all questionable. So here we go with another L.
I'm really worried that Tyreek's not going to play, man.
We'll see. I'm going to have to check the injury reports right before those Thursday games because I would certainly like Tyreek to be the guy to play over Julio Jones.
And it's a hamstring.
Toughen up, Buttercup.
Says, okay, dude.
They need this one, though.
Pull a hamstring.
Here's the thing, though. They need this one. No, I get you. That was a joke. Now let me go serious here for a second. They need this one. And I think, again, they rushed Patrick Mahomes back out in the field. If there's a guy to be cautious with, it's your star quarterback that's 23 years old and is going to hopefully take you to a bunch of playoffs and Super Bowls and everything else. Instead, 2 weeks after having a terrible knee injury, they're like, he's got it. He's fine. If Tyreek can play in this game, he's going to play.
Oh,
I think the Chiefs have made it clear that if you're hurt, we're not taking the cautious route at all. If he can play, I think Tyreek plays.
Yeah. Sean, what do we think of the Houston Astro news about
them cheating? I think it's terrible, and I think they're going to get the ban hammer. I think they're going to get crushed by the MLB. I think we just need to figure out how bad it was before we go and throw a punishment around, because if they're reportedly using cameras like we're talking about to steal signs, then I'm not okay with it. Look, if your second baseman's doing it, and he's like trying to watch the catcher and all this, or if you've got a guy in second, and he's trying to watch the catcher, I'm okay with it, because that's gamesmanship. That's somebody on the field trying to do something. If you've got cameras rigged to try to steal signs, we're in different territory. This is like Spygate level territory. If you're using equipment,
they win.
Well, they did, and they got punished. Again, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about a Sky.
They
lost a first-round pick. That's pretty hefty.
My God!
It didn't affect them, but it hurts.
How is that even a franchise anymore?
Take away most of these teams' first-round picks. Not the Titans, because we always miss those picks.
Well, hold on. The Chiefs never have one. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, the Titans always pick trash for their first-round picks.
Okay, I'll give you that, but they traded up for it. Surprise! We usually we got the first seed.
That's pretty hefty. Losing a first round pick's pretty hefty. You're supposed to get a good player
in
the first
seed, round. And it's our luck. It's the worst draft ever in NFL history.
Okay, Jason also wants to know prediction on the 49ers Ravens game. Do they play each other this season, or are we asking the hypothetical Super Bowl? Because if we're asking the hypothetical Super Bowl, if they meet up in the Super Bowl, I'm still going to go with the 49ers because I just like the way they're playing, and I like Kyle Shanahan. I think even though the Ravens are dynamic right now, I think Kyle Shanahan is underrated as a coach. Everyone loves Sean McVay. Kyle Shanahan's been doing it for longer and been doing it more effectively with less weapons. And with less, well, that may not be fair. He had weapons in Atlanta, but he's been doing it for years and years and years, and he's been doing it incredibly effectively. He made Matt Ryan look like the best quarterback in football. This is a guy to look out for. I'll go 49ers. I'm not sure if they play each other, though.
You said no this week.
Also, Jason, I'm not sure I like playoff bans for professional teams because that's pretty much all that. If you ban them for 3 years, their attendance goes into the...
They play on Sunday.
Into the crapper. What's that? They play this week?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's what I was asking. I haven't looked at the schedule, obviously. All I know is my team plays the Colts.
Dude, they're making fun of us because we didn't know.
We didn't know that the Ravens play the 49ers this week?
Listen here. Don't you make fun of us, okay? God! But it's not like I've been drinking and I'm drunk or anything.
All right, well, this week, I'm still taking the 49ers. But spoiler alert for Friday's show, I like the 49ers and I like the way they're playing ball, even though I like the Ravens.
How do you not know every game in the NFL schedule?
I do. It's in this binder here. I just don't
know.
How
do you not know it off the top of your head?
By memory?
You are the worst football analysis.
Because I got all the Black Friday stuff in there.
You know why you're so worse is because I'm your co-host and I help you and I'm no help.
Okay, yeah. I was going to say, so I got all these Black Friday deals in my head, man. The linens. Think of the linens, Drew. That's all I can say. All right, a couple more of these comments, and then we'll get out of here.
Did you see that Walmart had some on those bath rugs that we were talking about getting?
Yeah, I know, and they got fitted sheets too. I can't wait for that. Ian says thanks, but you think you meant the Steelers win something? Y'all are confusing the hell out of me. That's all I can say. What are we talking about? Says,
Chris, good to see you, man.
But Ian says, for Black Friday, pick up a Sports Around This Bar t-shirt, which will be discounted 0% in the Facebook store, because I don't know how to do discounts. Available on our Facebook page. We always appreciate you.
Off, man.
Yeah, here it is. You want to look
at... stand high. I'll hold your chair.
Can you see me?
There
look
you
at this.
Go. Oh, look at this. Man.
If you want to look as sexy as this, all you have to do is go to our Facebook store.
Or if you don't want
plastic surgery.
Sexy.
That's all you can do. Plastic surgery to catch up to this. But the shirt will help. That's like half the game.
Or you can just be born like this.
We're trying to sell shirts, Drew, not get people to.
Oh, I thought we were talking about being sexy. I'm sorry. I got distracted.
All right. Anyway, guys, it's been a great show. I had a lot of fun.
I did too.
I think Thursday's going to be amazing. Even though these games aren't great on paper, I think they're going to wind up being closer than people think. I think Bears-Lions stays close. I think Saints-Falcons stays close. And even if the Bills and Cowboys gets a little bit out of hand, I think it'll be an entertaining game.
I actually think all three games.
Even if Josh Allen scores 56 points, and I'm like, damn, best quarterback in the league. I think it'll be entertaining at least.
I think all three games stay close. All of them.
And I'm just taking shots at the Bills right now. I'm just having fun.
Steve is going to punch you in the mouth.
He might. But you know who won't hit me in the mouth? Josh Allen, because he'd probably miss.
Ooh! Burn.
I'm just kidding. He could take me. We'll move on. A couple more of these. Again, I'm having a good time.
It says, no good Thanksgiving games, by the way.
Yeah, but how good is that Colts-Titans game going to be?
Or, I don't know what...
To be honest, is what TBH is.
Or, don't touch my butt, Haley. None of those work.
Okay. All right. I think it's time to get out of here. I think Drew's drunk. I think he's had too much to drink. But, Chris, how great will that Titans-Colts game be? I know you're looking forward to it. I know I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait for my team to lose, then have to come in here and face you on Sunday.
Why am I the one that's drunk?
Because that made no sense whatsoever.
No, it didn't. That was the point.
It didn't land.
I'm okay with that. I'm the odd one here.
You're out of right. But that's okay. Oh. And Sean saying, look, Jake, watch out for Josh Allen. Oh, yeah. I talk a lot of crap about Josh Allen. As a joke more than anything. Again, I like Josh Allen. He's winning games.
About it.
He's winning games in Buffalo. But this is a great team. He's going to have to go out and play, or at least a very good one, even if they're not great. They have the tools to be great, even if they're not achieving their highest levels. I need to see Josh Allen show up in this game, and then we'll talk about him being better. Okay? How's that sound, Bills fans? This is the game to win me over. Here we go. This is the game to win me over.
It's not going to win you over.
If Josh Allen looks good, if Josh Allen throws for 343 yards, like Steve was predicting. I'm exaggerating, but I forget what his actual number was.
Homer Simpson backing into the bushes. Thank you, Jason.
All right, guys. Final thoughts.
Guys, I just want to say happy Thanksgiving. I appreciate everyone that came out for this show. It was great. I had fun. I hope you guys had fun. I know we joke. I know we have fun. But we try to help you out as best we can. We love hearing your opinions. We love drinking beer with you guys. We wish you could do it in person. Mm-hmm. It'd be better in person. Could you imagine this mayhem in person?
No. I barely get through it on camera. On person, I'd be terrible.
But I do want to give a special thanks out to everyone that commented. Steve, Sean, Sharif, James, Scott, Will, Ian, Bees, Michael, Nathan, Frank, Jacob, Jason, Ray, Andrew, Chris. You guys are all awesome. Thank you so much.
It was a great show. Again, I had a lot of fun. I hope you enjoy your turkey day. Again, guys, remember the spirit of the season of Thanksgiving, and then go out and spend all your money on Black Friday. Have a lot of fun.
To be thankful that Sports Around the Bar exists and that you buy T-shirts to keep us existing.
Yep. And again, guys, it's been a great show. Thank you so much. If you want to have this sexy shirt and look as fine as me, all you got to do is click on that store tab. We got a bunch of options. Try to make it as cheap as possible on you. And again, no pressure. Just do it if you want to do it.
If you believe in reincarnation, you might be born like me.
I don't think anyone's going to be that lucky. But for Sports Around the Bar, I am Jake, your bartender. This is Drew. We will be back on Friday to talk about each and every one of these Thanksgiving games, as well as preview the week ahead when we're talking about the shorter Sunday week, which is, again, always throws me for a loop every time I see it. But we'll be here to talk about it. I hope you can join us, 7:45 Eastern, 6:45 Central, same as always. We hope to catch you then. That's it. Now it's your turn.
This is Jake. I'm Drew.
I said that already. All right.
I didn't.
I ruined the opening. You ruined the ending.
I don't listen to you.
Good job.